Hey, welcome back to Her Restored Spirit podcast. My name is Tami, and I'm your host, and I am so excited to be with you today. So, this last couple of weeks, I'm part of a coaching mastermind. So it's a group of women we're all coaches in different ways, and we have a master coach with us who's been coaching for way longer than we have, who's our business coach and our mentor. Which there is a difference between coaching and mentorship. Um, Maybe I should do a podcast about that sometimes. But one of the things that we talk about is it's similar to things that I talk about with you, is like what's getting you stuck, what's sticking you, what doesn't work. And one of the things that we really have been hitting hard lately is the trying to get it right, that perfectionism. And we talked about how you have got to unhook yourself from trying to get it right or the need to have it right before you do something, before you try something, before you execute something, before you do something new. It's one of those things that we all want to do something well. I haven't met anybody who is like, you know what, I'm just gonna throw it out there, and if it's a complete mess, um, and my name's attached to it, I'm good with that. It's We all try to do it well, but trying to do it well and trying to do it right are two very different things. And it goes into that perfectionism. It goes into that need to prove. It goes into that um, I have to know the way, and the need to get it right is or have it look a certain way is one of the things that stops me. It's I'm an Enneagram 1, so it's natural for me because I want to get things right. And it truly comes from a place where I don't want to screw up because I don't want to screw you up. Like, I don't want to lead you astray. I want to make sure that things that I tell you that are scientifically backed up, that I have research and evidence, and I want to make sure that I know it works. I want to make sure that if I tell it to you, I'm not just wasting your time or mine. I want us all to grow. It is a passion of mine for us, for everyone to grow. My kids are not loving the passion, by the way. For them, there's like, oh, why is it never good enough for you? Why, blah, 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 blah. You know how kids are. And I had to stop and I had to check myself and ask if I was really trying to push them too much or expect too much from them. But then I realized that they know a lot about the Enneagram, and they used all the keywords that trigger me. And so uh, I'm like, I've never asked you to have it perfect. I've asked you to just do it. And it goes back to this trying to get it right. How many times do we need to do something and we can't seem to start? Or we start and we can't keep going because we can't get it right. And what is right? And I'm going to put that in air quotes. Like, what is right? What does it need to look like? What does need to look like? What does that mean? Because this is the secret, is there is no getting it right that is consistent across the board. There's not. This is one of those moments that if you sit down and you write it down and you're like, okay, what are these words can I define? What are these words do I need to understand what meaning I put behind it? And when I look at that and say, okay, what does it look like when it's right? So whatever you're working on right now, whatever you want to accomplish, whatever goal you have, ask yourself, what does it look like when it's right? What would it look like if it's perfect? What does it look like right now? What does it look like if it could be done? Because isn't done our goal? Isn't moving forward? Isn't it like we have this vision that things need to work out a certain way? What if that was never the intention? This is one reason why focusing on the journey and your next step versus the outcome or the destination is so important because we don't know what right looks like. We may have a picture in our mind, and there are some things like mathematics. We know, if you do all of the steps, this is the answer you should arrive at. But how many things in life really does A plus B always equal C? How many times do we go one direction and even when we're driving, we go the same way every time, but it still takes longer or shorter based on other variables, whether there's traffic, whether that we hit every light or we hit no lights, or there's an accident, or there's a detour, there's construction, or you forgot something, you have to turn around and go home and get something. We have, there's so many variables, and then we learn from them. So to continue this analogy about driving, so say we're driving the kids to school, we learn on Fridays that there is a group that lets out and so we know that every Friday there's a lot more traffic. We adapt. We will go around. We will make it done. We'll make sure we'll leave a little earlier. We'll find another way, but we don't continue to push the same way the same time because that's the right way. How many times do we do this to ourselves? By trying to get it right, and it stops us from actually accomplishing anything. Today, so typically, when I used to do podcasts without the video, I would just roll out of bed, grab my tea, and I had my blanket with me, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter what I looked like. I would just roll out of bed, brush my teeth, and put my hair up typically, and grab my tea. And then I would have my notes that I prepared, and then I would go for it. And then I started doing video. And all of a sudden, that doesn't work anymore. Because like now these videos are online. I put them on my YouTube channel, and I want to look a certain way. Like like right now, I am washed out. I'm going to the gym, and I have like 9 appointments today for my kids. So it is a back to back, and I'm going to take my clothes and shower at the gym, so that way I can get back in time to grab the kid, go to the doctor's appointment, step after step, get it done. But what it meant is this morning, it made no sense for me to get up and do my hair and get makeup on when it doesn't make sense. That extra time, because I have other things I need to do. And so I had to make a decision. And it was hard because I was like, well, if I quickly put makeup on, I don't wear that much makeup. Okay. So it's really not about the makeup. It is about the trying to get it right. It was about the trying to look a certain way, be a certain way. And I'm like, well, you know what? The women, you who are listening to this video or watching this video, because it's not for me, it is for me to help you. It's for me to give you some tips and tricks, things to think about, things that help you grow. Does it even matter? How many of you have I met at the gym or at drop off, when I was, well, we still do a homeschool co-op. So at drop off or running errands, and we have a messy bun and sweatpants. How many times? It's like, this is real life. I'm not trying to show you only the nice put together part of my life. Because let me tell you a little secret, very little of my life is completely put together. I had a big old tantrum last week just about being overwhelmed, stressed, and not having time to get things. And I realized I was trying to get things right, for them to look a certain way. And I can't force people to do things a certain way. Like I can have them do it, but then I got to have them do it their way. There are some boundaries, some expectations, but again, I was mad at myself really because I wasn't doing what I expected to do. I wasn't doing what I wanted. And I realized that if I'm going to ask you guys to let that go, then I have to be willing to let it go and tell you about it. To tell you about my mess, about the fact that, well, we have 7 puppies. So that are now eating food. The mom is not nursing at all. I mean, they all have teeth. And I like one of them, little Mango, he grabbed my finger. And so I got a glimpse of what they were doing to poor Daisy. So I do not blame her one bit. But that means that we have to get up in the middle of the night to feed said puppies, because they're 4 weeks old and they're adorable. And we have some that, if you want a golden retriever, we have full blood golden retriever puppies that are champion bloodline and are stinking adorable. If you go onto my page, onto Instagram, there's some videos and some pictures of them because they are stinking adorable. Side note, but because of my life right now, it's hectic, it's crazy, it's a mess. I have to clean dog bedding um, twice a day because 7 puppies who are eating a lot of food make a lot of messes, and I don't want them in the messes. So they get their little baths, which are adorable, and they're crying the whole time as they're just touching the water because they're like, "What is this?" Again, adorable, but with all of these things, we get out of our routine. And I was getting frustrated because I was tired, I was hungry, things were not going the way that I wanted them to. I was trying to get it right, whatever, right? And it was, I could not even, I mean, it was an unrealistic expectation, which I know if you've been listening to this podcast, I've talked a lot about unrealistic expectations. Those things are those are the brain blocks that stop us from accomplishing what we want to accomplish. I'm putting together a summit, a one day, it's going to be a couple of hours, and it's for you. Like I have interviewed speakers, I have found speakers who I think would really add value to some of the things that you have talked to me about this is what I need help with. So someone who's exercise and about the freedom of being strong, the freedom that comes from being strong, and someone who financial freedom, the freedom from being independently, like having that financial independence and what it could look like and why it's important to have it in our 40s. And then someone, a food freedom. My friend Jenny Sills, who I had on the podcast a few months ago, she's going to come back because I know that our messages align a lot. And I've heard from you that it was such a great conversation. So we're going to talk again. But I'm doing this. It was supposed to be next week. I can't get it done by next week. So now it's going to be 2 weeks. I will have the landing page for you to be able to sign up and join today. It will be published. It will not be perfect. There are still pictures that need to be on there. There's still information that needs to be on there. However, I'm going to unhook myself from trying to get it right and get it to you. I'm also going to do a money mindset workshop. This is something that I've been asked for months, my clients, and I know that they have friends who also, our money stories hold us back more than we realize. Even if you're not making money, it's how you spend, it's your relationship with money. It's how you spend it, how you save it, what your thoughts are about it, even if you don't have a business. So this is not geared towards people like women who have a business. It could go that direction if you wanted it to, but really it's what is your relationship with money and why are you always broke, or why do you always feel like it's not enough, or why do you fear it, or even in the Christian culture, we grew up, the love of money is the root of all evil. Well, it's the love of money, not money itself. Money is actually a tool. So we're going to talk about that, and that's going to be on my website to register for. It's going to be 2 hours. It's going to be an interactive workshop. You're going to get a workbook, most hopefully. If not, then you'll get it after. But I have questions, and we're going to go through step by step. And it's one that like no distractions and just sit and really focus. Give that 2 hours, and I guarantee that you're gonna get some insight to the why you do things that you've never experienced before. And don't worry, it's not that hard either. It's really just gives you that time, to think of it in a way that you haven't thought of it before. But I have all these things that I want to do, and I've been trying to get it right. All these things that stayed in my brain, which is what caused me to have the big old toddler tantrum. And then it's like, Tammy, just do it. Just show up for the ladies who God's called you to serve. Just show up for the people. And I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. Just show up for your people, for the people that God has called you to serve. Release yourself from that pressure of having to get it right, having to do it a certain way, having to only do the XYZ steps. Because there's so many things in the world that I'm realizing that if we pigeonhole ourselves into one way, one set of rules, this is our perception. And let's just face it, like, think about this. Like, when I'm in my 40s and I lived in a time that there was no internet. There was no internet. I mean, maybe for the common folk, for us. I remember when we got our first computer, and now I have multiple in my house, multiple. How many things have changed with the internet? How many things we can't play by the same rules. We don't even have the same parenting rules. Like it is a lot harder. Like there's more things that we have to be careful with. We can't, it's not just, the dare to keep kids off drugs. It's now we have to watch for grooming. We have to watch, again, the idea here is we have to change the rules that we're playing by. When you have the feeling of, I just have to get this done, I need to get it right, ask yourself why. And then that's when you go into the definitions. And I encourage you to write it all down, because when you see it, your brain, writing it down on a pen with pen and paper, it activates more areas of your brain, and it processes it different than if you're typing it. So write it down, take some time. You don't have to do it long form. You can do it bullets, you can do it keywords. But the key is get it on paper and then look at what you're actually writing. It will be the first time that your subconscious and your conscious actually like look at it together. So when you're doing that, ask yourself, okay, what does getting it right mean? What does getting it done mean? These questions that you can ask yourself to say, okay, what part of it is the absolute, like this part I cannot mess up? And then how will the rest look if I get this part done? Or another question could be like, how will I know when I have it right? What will I make it mean? What does it mean to me right now to have it right? It is crazy that when you ask yourself, okay, what is my brain making this mean? Separate yourself from this, because again, your brain is keeping you safe. So it's going to make things mean a lot stronger, a lot deeper meaning than it really should be. You're like, well, Tammy, just turn on the camera and record who needs makeup, who can be like all red and flush. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because the key is what is getting it right means recording and publishing my podcast. And it doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter if I have my hair done, which, as you know, I rarely have my hair done. So that's not right. Lipstick on, I rarely have lipstick on. So that's not getting it right. What is it? Just putting, I guess my tinted moisturizer on. But it's not about the makeup. It's about one more thing, that if this isn't right, I can't do it. If I don't look right, if I can't portray the right look, if I can't look put together, then I can't do it. Which is a lie. Because all it takes is me getting in front of my camera, relaxing, reviewing my notes, praying, and then going. It doesn't actually matter what I look like in order to get it right, in order to get it done. So friend, I need you to ask yourself, what are you avoiding? Because you don't have time to do it, because you are trying it needs to be done the proper way. What would it mean for you if you got it done? What would it mean for you and for your family and your people if you were able to just accomplish that? What would it mean for your brain if you were able to get it done, get it off your list? What if it could be easy instead of right? What if you could accomplish it and throw away the how it's supposed to look? Because when you do that, it opens up a whole new world for you. It gives you that ease of you're good enough as you are. If God put it in your heart, if He's called you to it, He's going to equip you for it. And I've talked to enough of you to know we're not trying to put it together correctly. It doesn't matter to you if I have the right shirt on. What matters is that I show up every week, and that we get to have coffee together, um, and that I give you little glimpses of things that you can do to help grow without causing stress, without causing undue hardship, without adding more to your plate. Because really, it's when we start pulling all of this extra away that we can really see what's important. And that's what you can ask yourself is when I'm trying to get it right, what part of this is the most important? All right. With that, to remind you about the summit, the Who Am I Now for women over 40, and it's about the freedom that comes when you release expectations. I've got three speakers who are amazing, and I'm going to speak too. I'm going to try to do this like every couple of months and get some different speakers in, because I see how these little glimpses, these little steps, if we take it and we just little bit by little bit, we start to pull down these expectations and we allow freedom in our life, then we can grow and we can step into who God created us to be. We can start seeing that God dream hidden in our heart is there for a reason. I can't wait to share it with you. I'm really excited. So please go sign up for this. It will be on my website. I will have a button on the front page because I don't know what the page to sign up, the landing page is titled right now, or what the URL is. I will get that and then I will share it with you. But the thing is that what is trying to get it right stopping you from? Trying to get parenting right is stopping you from having those conversations with your kids. Trying to get it right is stopping you from asking your boss for a raise, or a promotion. Trying to get it right is stopping you from having the friendship or having that hard conversation with a friend who needs it. Trying to get it right is stopping you from releasing expectations that no longer should hold you captive. Expectations and trying to get it right are forms of perfectionism, and they are lies. They are holding you back. They are keeping you from experiencing joy and happiness and the love that you have. So release those. Come to my summit, please, because I don't want to be there by myself. And then look out for the money mindset workshop. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be something like you haven't done before. If you haven't been in coaching, if you have not coached with me, it's going to give you some revelations and release some of your stress that and understanding so you can start making those changes that you need to make. And then, well, I have another group starting as well for Discover You, which we'll talk about in the summit. But I'm getting ready to start this next group, and I'm I've got some testimonial videos from the last group that some of the things it said is I didn't even know what I wanted. And now I not only know what I wanted, but I know how to get it. I didn't realize that I was holding myself back from just the unnecessary expectations, or I've been numbing out my whole life. And now finally I can see that I can get what I want and still serve my people well. we have people in the group, we have women who finally got a job that was at the level that they are capable of because they were taking jobs below them just because they felt unworthy. We have someone who just she was ready to quit her corporate job, and she didn't realize that that was the disconnect. Is God was preparing her for something else that He's been showing her and preparing her, but now is the time to step. We have someone who is just working on relationships and wanted to release all the trauma from the past and discover who they are and how to show up as themselves instead of trying to mute or hide who they are because they were afraid of like, offending people or because they were too much. So there's so many things that we as women we sacrifice so much for our families. We get to a point in our life where it's like, okay, I have time now. I have time, treasure, and talents that I can use for the Lord in a completely different way. And that's what we get to discover. All right, I will go now, but I cannot wait to see you guys on the summit. I will talk to you next week. I'm considering doing a second podcast every week, a shorter one, like maybe less than 10 minutes. Um, let me know what you think. Just what I would probably do is those would be action items. Those would be like more focused on a theme, maybe even answer questions that I've been getting in. So that way they're shorter. However, they're still just little tidbits to help you get through the day, help you realize that you yourself are enough. All right. Well, I've really drawn this out. So I will talk to you soon and choose joy until joy chooses you. Bye for now.